Custody of the truth. She was 32 the day her life cracked open. Not in a dramatic movie slow motion way. No throne plates, no thunderstorm, no ominous soundtrack. Just a delayed flight, a quiet Uber ride from the airport, and a front door that stuck a little in the humidity like it always did in August. Her name was Maria Alvarez, and at 8:13 p.m. on a Thursday, she walked into her house early, suitcase rolling behind her, thinking only about hugging her kids and maybe reheating leftover lasagna. Instead, she pushed open the bedroom door and found her husband and her best friend tangled in the sheets. Before that night, Maria's life had been busy. Not perfect. She wasn't naive enough to call it that, but busy in the way suburban lives often are. Soccer practice, work deadlines, laundry mountains, half-finished craft projects on the dining room table. She was a project manager at a marketing firm downtown, the kind of job that meant color-coded calendars, too many emails, and the occasional overnight trip to woo some client in another city. Her husband Daniel worked in IT at a hospital. He was steady, quiet, and had a look he gave her across crowded rooms that used to make her feel chosen. They had 2 kids, Ethan, 11, all elbows and sneakers, and sarcastic one-liners. He'd inherited Maria's dark eyes and Daniel's tendency to smirk when he was trying not to laugh. Lily, 9, a small whirlwind of glitter and opinions, who treated stuffed animals like coworkers and lectured them about meeting etiquette. And then there was Hannah. Hannah had been Maria's roommate in college, her maid of honor, the godmother to both kids. Hannah knew every version of Maria. Broke student Maria, newlywed Maria, new mom Maria, who hadn't slept for 3 months straight. The kids called her Aunt Hannah. She knew their favorite cereals, their teachers' names, their allergies. She showed up with balloons on birthdays and juice boxes at soccer games. She was in the framed photos on the mantle, at Maria's wedding, at the hospital when Ethan was born, holding Lily in the backyard kiddie pool. If you'd asked Maria back then who she trusted most on earth, she might have said, "My kids," and then laughed and added, "Hannah, and I guess Daniel, when he puts the dishes in the dishwasher instead of in the sink." The point was, her world felt stable, imperfect, but stable. Or so she thought. The work trip was supposed to be 3 days in Chicago. Fly in Monday, big presentation Tuesday, fly home Thursday night on a late, groggy flight that would dump her back home sometime after midnight. But on Wednesday afternoon, her phone chimed with a notification. Flight changed. Earlier departure. The airline overhauled the schedule, and suddenly she was getting home hours earlier than planned. "Lucky you," said Mark, her co-worker, as they sat in the hotel lobby with half-drunk coffees. Mark was mid-40s, divorced, perpetually slightly rumpled, and the only person in the office who understood that Maria's color-coded spreadsheets were a love language, not a pathology. "Lucky me," she agreed, smiling. "I'll actually get to tuck the kids in." She texted Daniel first. "Maria, flight got moved up, home tonight around 8 instead of midnight." Daniel, "Oh, nice. See you then." Maria, "Tell the kids I'm coming home early." Daniel, "Will do." No exclamation points. Typical Daniel text. Still, she pictured Ethan pretending not to care, and Lily squealing and running in small circles. Because surprises are the best, Mommy. The plane landed on time. Luggage showed up quickly. The Uber driver didn't talk much and didn't play the radio too loud. It was all so profoundly, stubbornly normal. When she turned onto her street, the lights in the living room were on. Good, she thought. They waited up. She let herself in with her keys, the familiar click and give of the lock. The house smelled faintly like tomato sauce and fabric softener, that comfortable mix of dinner and home. "Hey," she called, rolling her suitcase over the threshold. "Guess who's early?" No answer. "Guys?" She tried again, amused. "You're playing hide and seek without me." Still nothing. The TV was off. The living room was empty, a pillow on the couch slightly askew. One of Lily's hair ties looped around the remote. Maybe they're upstairs. Maybe they fell asleep in our bed, watching a movie. She dragged the suitcase to the base of the stairs. From upstairs, faint and muffled, She heard something that sounded like a laugh, a woman's laugh. Then, a low murmur. Her brain supplied an easy explanation. Maybe Hannah had come over. Maybe they were all piled on the bed, watching some cartoon or playing a video game. She smiled as she climbed. If you started movie night without me, I swear. The bedroom door was almost closed, just a narrow wedge of light spilling into the dark hallway. A soft thump. A breathless giggle that wasn't a child. Maria frowned. Her hand closed on the doorknob. She pushed the door open, and time stopped. Later, Maria would remember specific details with an almost cruel clarity. The red straps of Hannah's bra against her pale shoulders, Daniel's wedding ring glinting on his left hand as he scrambled for the sheet. The hotel shampoo bottle still in the corner of Maria's suitcase, half-packed, just visible in the hallway behind her, like proof of another, simpler reality she'd inhabited only an hour before. For a long moment, all three of them just stared. Hannah's face went from flushed to drained, mouth falling open. Daniel's eyes went wide, then closed, then opened again, as if he thought maybe this was a nightmare he could blink away. Maria didn't scream. Her voice, when it finally came, sounded small and far away to her own ears. Get out of my house. Hannah grabbed at the sheet, almost falling as she tried to cover herself and reach for her clothes at the same time. Maria, wait, please, it's not out. Daniel swung his legs off the bed, stumbling. Maria, She looked at him, and something in her face must have shut him up. He grabbed the first pair of pants within reach, half put together, the dignity that usually wrapped around him like an invisible suit, completely gone. Hannah, clutching her clothes to her chest, paused a moment too long in the doorway. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Don't, Maria said. Don't you dare say it just happened. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. Please, out. Maria could have said more, could have screamed about the years of friendship, the sleepovers, the late-night talks about love and trust, and all the things that were supposed to be sacred. She could have listed the time she helped Hannah move into that third-floor walk-up in the rain, how she'd held her hand when her father died, how she'd once loaned her money to make rent. But the words stacked in her throat and wouldn't come out. Hannah bolted past her, footsteps loud down the stairs. The front door slammed. Daniel stood there in a t-shirt and half-buttoned jeans, still breathing hard, hair a mess. Maria, he tried, please, I can explain. She laughed once, a sharp, unbelieving sound. Explain what? That you slept with my best friend in our bed while I was gone for work? It was a mistake, he said quickly. It only happened once. She stared at him. The phrase was so cliché, it almost made her dizzy. Once, she repeated. You brought her into our home, into our bed. You think that makes it better? He took a step forward, one hand reaching for her, like maybe this was an argument about bills or chores. Maria, I'm so sorry. We were just talking, and one thing led to... Stop, she said. Just stop. He stopped. She took a breath, and another. The room smelled like sweat and something sickly sweet. Hannah's perfume, maybe. Maria wanted to claw the scent out of the air. I want a divorce, she said. His face crumpled. Maria, no. Please don't say that. The kids... You should have thought about the kids, she said, before you did this. A beat of silence. Does Ethan know you're home? Daniel asked, sounding strangely small. Don't, she said. Don't you dare say their names right now. They stood there in the room that used to be theirs, the bed still disheveled, the lamp casting a soft yellow circle over the chaos. I want you out, Maria said finally. I'll stay at a hotel tonight. Tomorrow we can figure out where you'll go. But I'm calling a lawyer in the morning. Daniel's mouth opened, closed. Can we at least talk? No, she said. We're done talking. She picked up her suitcase with shaking hands, walked back down the stairs, and left her own home with his voice trailing behind her. Maria, please, don't do this. We can fix it. Please. She didn't look back. Divorce, it turned out, was more paperwork than screaming. Maria hired the first lawyer she could get an appointment with, a graying man named Patterson, whose office smelled faintly like old carpet and coffee. He listened as she told him what she'd seen, hands folded over a yellow legal pad. He nodded, frowned, made sympathetic noises. Infidelity will factor in emotionally, he said. But in this state, it doesn't usually affect division of property or custody unless we can prove some kind of harm to the children. I don't care about the furniture, Maria said. I care about Ethan and Lily. Of course, he said. We'll ask for joint custody. Standard arrangement is 50-50 every other week, some holidays alternating. Judges favor maintaining relationships with both parents, assuming neither is abusive or unstable. Maria felt herself bristle. I'm not unstable. I'm not saying you are, Patterson said. I'm just telling you how they think. They filed. Papers were served. Daniel moved in with his brother. Hannah disappeared. No texts, no calls, no I'm sorry emails, nothing. For a while, the custody talks were civil. Messy, but civil. They exchanged the kids at school or at Maria's parents' house. Ethan was quiet but cooperative. Lily cried sometimes at bedtime and asked why Daddy didn't live with them anymore. And Maria would hold her and say, adults make mistakes, sweetheart, but we both love you. That will never change. She didn't talk about the bed, about the broken pieces of trust scattered everywhere she looked. Then Daniel hired a new lawyer. Her name was Elaine Chambers, and she was young, sharp, and terrifyingly good at her job. She wore immaculate suits and carried her iPad like a sword. At their first conference, Elaine smiled politely at Maria and Patterson, then turned to the judge with a practiced look of concern. Your Honor, while my client deeply regrets his affair, we are concerned about Ms. Alvarez's behavior and its impact on the children. Maria blinked. I'm sorry, what? Elaine swiped on her tablet, projecting an email onto the screen. It was one Maria had sent to Daniel in the first week after the discovery, where she'd called him names she wasn't proud of and told him she never wanted him near her again. Ms. Alvarez is understandably hurt, Elaine said, but her vitriolic communication raises questions about her emotional stability. Additionally, we have reason to believe she has been involved in an inappropriate relationship with a male coworker. We're concerned that Ms. Alvarez may have left the marriage for another man and is now unfairly punishing my client. Maria stared. What the hell are you talking about? Elaine clicked again. Up came grainy photos. Maria sitting on a bench outside her office building with Mark, laughing over plastic takeout containers. Maria and Mark walking down the street next to each other toward the parking garage. Maria and Mark leaving the office one evening, both carrying laptops. They looked exactly like what they were. Co-workers grabbing lunch, co-workers leaving work at the same time. But Maria could see instantly how it could be twisted. That's my co-worker, she said to the judge. We work together. We eat lunch together. That's it. Elaine tilted her head. You and Mr. Walsh have lunch together quite frequently, it seems. We talk about work, Maria snapped, and sometimes our kids. He got divorced last year. We both... Elaine said softly. He's divorced. So am I, Maria shot back. Were you divorced at the time these photos were taken? Elaine asked, voice smoothing into something almost gentle. Maria opened her mouth, then closed it. The dates in the corners of the images glared back. 2 weeks before she found Daniel and Hannah, 3 days before, the afternoon of the flight to Chicago. We have statements from a neighbor, Elaine continued, who observed Mr. Walsh's car in Ms. Alvarez's driveway late in the evenings before the separation. We also have text messages in which Ms. Alvarez complains of feeling trapped and fantasizing about starting over with someone who actually listens. That was about therapy, Maria protested, heat rising in her face. I was venting to a friend about wanting a partner who listens, not saying I had somebody lined up. Elaine's eyebrows rose. So, you admit to sending the texts? Yes, but not like... Your Honor, Elaine said, turning back to the bench. Our concern is that Ms. Alvarez is projecting her own guilt onto my client. She discovered his affair, yes, but only after she had emotionally left the marriage. She now seeks to punish him by restricting his access to his children. We believe Mr. Alvarez, she gestured to Daniel, who sat looking appropriately remorseful, is better positioned to provide a stable home environment. Later, Patterson would tell Maria that Elaine was just doing her job, that it was strategy, theater. But sitting there, under fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly, Maria felt like she'd fallen into some alternate universe, where up was down and black was white. She told the judge about the bed, about walking in, about Hannah, about the betrayal that made her teeth ache. Elaine nodded sympathetically. My client does not deny the affair, she said, but we submit that Ms. Alvarez is exaggerating the circumstances and refusing to acknowledge her own role in the breakdown of the marriage. Her fixation on punishing her husband is harming the children. Fixation? Maria repeated, stunned. He cheated. Ms. Alvarez, the judge said mildly, you will have a chance to speak. Please let Ms. Chambers finish. By the end of the hearing, Maria's head was pounding. Patterson did his best, pointed out inconsistencies, questioned the neighbor's credibility, emphasized Maria's work schedule and the stable life she'd provided. But Elaine was better, faster, sharper. When the judge delivered the temporary custody ruling, his voice was calm, almost bored. Primary physical custody to the father, he said. Joint legal custody to both parents. Mother will have parenting time every other weekend and one weeknight dinner, to be specified in the schedule. Both parties are ordered not to disparage the other parent in front of the children. Primary to the father? Maria repeated, as if maybe she hadn't heard correctly. The gavel came down. Proceedings adjourned. Daniel stood, shoulders slumped, but eyes flicking to meet hers. There was something almost apologetic in his face, some echo of the man she used to know. Maria turned and walked out of the courtroom before she said something that would get her held in contempt. For the first few months, the kids still came. Every other Friday, Maria would pace by the window until she saw Daniel's car pull up. Ethan would climb out first, taller every time, backpack slung over one shoulder. Lily would bounce beside him, hair in lopsided pigtails. Mom, Lily would cry, throwing herself into Maria's arms. We made slime in science class, and it exploded all over Tyler's shoes. Ethan would roll his eyes. It didn't explode. It just overflowed. They'd cook together pizza on Fridays and pancakes on Saturdays. They'd watch movies and play board games and argue about who cheated at Uno. At night, Maria would stand in the doorway as they slept, silhouettes small and soft under the glow-in-the-dark stars they'd stuck to the ceiling years ago. But there were cracks. Ethan asked more questions than he used to. Why'd you really leave Dad? He said one evening as he poked at his mashed potatoes. Maria set down her fork. Ethan, you know why. Your dad did something that hurt me very badly. We couldn't stay married after that. That's not what Dad said, Ethan said, eyes on his plate. A cold trickle ran down Maria's spine. Oh? What did he say? He said you left because you found someone else, Ethan muttered. Some guy at work, that you didn't love him anymore. Or us. Lily, at the other end of the table, stopped swinging her legs. She looked back and forth between them, wide-eyed. That's not true, Maria said carefully. You know I love you more than anything in this world. I would never leave you. Then why don't we live with you? Ethan shot back, anger flashing in his eyes. If you wanted us, we'd be here, right? Maria's chest clenched. The judge decided where you'd live, not me. I asked for you to live with both of us. I fought for that. Dad said you didn't, Ethan murmured. Maria swallowed. Your father he's hurt, Ethan. Sometimes when people are hurt, they say things that aren't fair. He said you'd say that, Ethan muttered. The words hung in the air like smoke. He said what? Maria whispered. He said you'd blame him for everything, Ethan said, pushing his plate away. That you'd lie to make him look bad, and that you'd say he's lying. Lily's lower lip trembled. Are you lying, Mommy? No, Maria said too quickly. Sweetheart, I would never lie to you. I promise. Ethan stood up. I'm not hungry. He left the table, footsteps heavy on the stairs. Lily stayed, her fork still clutched in one hand. Mommy, she said in a small voice, did you really find someone else? Maria sank into the chair as if her bones had turned to sand. No, she said. No, honey. I didn't leave your dad for someone else. I left because he broke a promise. That's all I can say right now, okay? Lily watched her for a long moment, as if measuring something invisible. Dad said you'd say that too, she whispered. That night after they fell asleep, Maria sat in the hallway between their rooms and cried quietly into her hands, feeling utterly, helplessly outmaneuvered. She knew the court order said she shouldn't disparage Daniel in front of the kids. She knew that if she told them outright, your father slept with Hannah, it could blow up in her face. But each weekend, it felt like a different, subtler kind of war was being fought, one she was always 3 moves behind on. The next few months were a slow, grinding shift. Ethan stopped running to hug her when he arrived. He stood back, hands in hoodie pockets, letting Lily crash into Maria's arms alone. "Hey, bud," Maria would say, forcing cheer into her voice. "How was your week?" "Fine," he'd say. He answered questions with one word whenever possible. "School. Good. Soccer? Fine. Friends? Okay." When she offered to help him with his math homework, he'd shrug. "Dad already helped me." When she asked if he wanted to watch a movie, he'd say, "I already saw that with Dad." Lily still cuddled up with her on the couch, still chattered, but even she had questions. "Dad says you love work more than us," she said once while coloring in a princess dress blue instead of pink. "Is that why you always go on trips?" "I don't always go on trips," Maria said, "and I work so I can take care of you. Pay for clothes and food and crayons and that slime kit you wanted that stained the entire kitchen table." Lily giggled a little, then sobered. "Dad said you left us." "No," Maria said, heartbeat suddenly pounding in her ears. "I left him, Lily. Not you. I will never leave you ever." "But we don't live with you," Lily said. "So, you left, right?" Maria opened her mouth, closed it. The logic in a 9-year-old brain was cruel and simple. She was at the park with them one Sunday when Ethan refused to go home with her at the end of the weekend. Daniel's car idled at the curb. Maria knelt beside Ethan on the grass, where he sat hunched over his phone. "Come on, bud," she tried. "We've got homework to finish before bed." "I don't want to go," he said, not looking up. "You know the schedule. It's my weekend," she said, trying to keep her voice light, not begging. "We talked about that." "I don't want to," he repeated louder. "Ethan," Daniel called from the car, tone mild. "You know the rules." Ethan stood, stuffing his phone in his pocket. "I'm not going." Maria blinked. "Excuse me? You left us?" he said, eyes suddenly bright with tears. "You left Dad. You left us for that man from work. And now you pretend like nothing happened. I don't want to be here." Maria felt the world tilt, the bright afternoon sun suddenly too hot. "Where did you hear that?" "Dad told us. And Aunt Hannah," Ethan said bitterly. "They said you cheated first. You started all of this. You broke our family." "That's not true," Maria said, voice shaking. "Ethan, I swear to you." "Dad said you'd say that," Ethan snapped. "He said you'd lie." He turned and bolted for Daniel's car. "Ethan," Maria called. "Please." Lily clung to her leg, confused and crying. "I don't want to fight," she sobbed. "I don't like it when you fight." Daniel got out of the car, hands raised as if to say, "This isn't my fault." "I didn't tell him not to go," he said. "He's upset. Maybe we should give him space." "No," Maria said, standing, adrenaline surging. "We have a court order. It's my weekend." Daniel's face twisted into something almost pitying. "Maria, you see how upset he is. We're supposed to do what's best for the kids, remember? What's best for him is having both parents," she snapped. "Maybe," Daniel said calmly, "but not if one of them is constantly bad-mouthing the other." "I haven't," she began. "Dad said you'd say that too," Ethan muttered from the car window. In the end, she let him go. Not because she wanted to, but because dragging a sobbing 11-year-old into her car, while his father filmed on his phone for documentation, would be worse, Patterson had warned her. Never give them the chance to say you're forcing the kids against their will. Judges hate that. So, she hugged Lily, promised her they'd do something special next weekend, and watched Daniel's car drive away. With both inside behind the windshield, Ethan didn't look back. When Ethan turned 13, he told the court he didn't want to see his mother anymore. Maria sat there as the judge read the report from the court-appointed counselor. Hands knotted in her lap. Both children expressed a strong preference, the judge said. Given their ages and stated reasons, the court finds it appropriate to modify the parenting schedule to reflect the children's wishes. Patterson leaned over and whispered, "We can appeal." But his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. "Ms. Alvarez will have parenting time at the children's discretion," the judge continued. "Phone calls, cards, and other communication are encouraged, but cannot be compelled." "Parenting time at their discretion," Maria repeated, dazed, as they left the courtroom. "So, they can just decide never to see me?" Patterson sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "They're old enough that the court doesn't want to force them." It's not fair, but it's common. Fair, Maria said faintly. Right, okay, sure. The first weekend after the ruling, she texted Daniel. Maria, I'd like to see the kids this weekend. I'll pick them up at 5 on Friday. Daniel, they don't want to come. Ethan has plans with friends. Lily wants to stay home. Maria, can I talk to them? Daniel, they're upset. I don't want to push. Maybe give them space. She called Ethan anyway. It went to voicemail. Lily's phone did too. She left messages. Hey, it's Mom. I love you. Call me, okay? We can do anything you want this weekend. We can just hang out, talk, whatever you need. I love you always. No one called back. Weeks became months. Birthdays passed. She sent cards with handwritten letters and gift cards to their favorite stores. Some came back undeliverable, even though the address hadn't changed. Others didn't come back at all, disappearing into the void. She watched them grow up in snapshots on social media. Daniel's sister posted a photo of Ethan in a soccer jersey, taller, broader, a caption reading, "So proud of this kid. Amazing nephew and his incredible dad, doing it all." In the background of one photo, Maria spotted a familiar blonde head. Hannah laughing, hand on Daniel's arm. Her own mother called from Florida, voice tight with barely contained anger. Mija, this is wrong. They're poisoning those children. I know, Maria said, staring at the latest photo on her screen. But no one cares. The court doesn't care. The kids think I'm the villain. Her younger sister, Camilla, was less gentle. You should have told them the truth from day one, she said during one of their weekly calls. You tried to be the bigger person, and look where it got you. The judge ordered us not to disparage each other, Maria said dully. Elaine would have torn me apart. And Daniel followed that order? Camilla snapped. Clearly not. Why are you the only one playing by the rules? Maria didn't have an answer. For 6 years, Maria lived a half-life. She went to therapy. The therapist, a patient woman named Dr. Shaw, listened as Maria talked about guilt and anger and grief that had nowhere to go. It feels like they died, Maria said once, twisting a tissue between her fingers. Except I can see them online. I know they're alive. They just don't want me. Dr. Shaw nodded, not in agreement, but in acknowledgement. You're grieving a living loss, she said. That's a particular kind of pain. Maria buried herself in work. She rose from project manager to director, oversaw bigger accounts, mentored younger employees. Mark moved to another city, but they kept in touch, texting memes and complaining about clients. Her apartment slowly filled with evidence of a life lived alone, a couch that was comfortable but cheap, a bookshelf lined with novels she didn't always finish, framed photos of Ethan and Lily from before, the same few images again because she hadn't gotten any new ones. On birthdays and holidays, she sent messages anyway. Happy birthday, Ethan. I'm so proud of you. I love you always. Merry Christmas, Lilybug. I saw a sweater with unicorns and thought of you. I hope you're happy. I'm here if you ever want to talk. Sometimes she stared at the delivered checkmark for long minutes, as if she could will it to turn into typing. It never did. Her parents from their retirement community in Florida called often. Her mom would ask, "Any news?" And Maria would say, "No, nothing." And they'd both pretend not to hear the way her voice cracked. Camilla had kids of her own now. Her son, Nico, once held up a drawing on FaceTime. Look, Tia Maria, it's you and your kids, and we're at the zoo. Nice, Maria said, swallowing past the lump in her throat. You're a great artist, buddy. The holidays were the worst. Christmas mornings alone, New Year's Eve with Netflix, Mother's Day, commercials slamming into her like waves. She saw Daniel and Hannah only occasionally from a distance. Once at the grocery store, she turned down an aisle and nearly crashed into them. Hannah had a cart. Ethan and Lily, teenagers now, trailed behind, tall and lanky, phones in hand. Maria froze. Hannah's eyes went wide. Daniel's face shut down into something blank. Ethan looked up, caught her gaze, and then looked away as if she were a stranger. Lily frowned, hesitated for a fraction of a second, then turned her whole body toward a display of cereal boxes. Let's go, Daniel said tightly, steering the cart past her. Maria stood there, fingers digging into the handle of her basket, heart racing. She didn't say anything. What could she say? Hey, remember me? I'm the mother your father convinced you abandoned you. She went home and cried until her chest hurt. On an ordinary Tuesday, 6 years after she'd walked into that bedroom, Maria's phone rang while she was chopping onions. She almost didn't hear it over the hiss of the pan. When she glanced over, she froze. Ethan. Not unknown. Not restricted. Ethan's name, the same contact she had refused to delete even when Camilla told her, "You're torturing yourself." For a heartbeat, she thought it must be a mistake, a butt dial, a glitch. Then the phone rang again, insistent. Her hand shook as she swiped to answer. Hello? There was breathing on the other end. Then a voice, deeper, older, but still somehow her son's. Mom? The word hit her like a physical blow. She grabbed the countertop for balance. Ethan, she whispered, is that really you? Yeah, he said. His tone was flat, guarded. I need to ask you something. Anything, she said immediately. A pause. She heard street noise in the background, the hum of cars, someone shouting in the distance. Wherever he was outside. Why did you really leave Dad? He said. Maria closed her eyes. For a moment, all she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. I told you, she said slowly. Your dad betrayed me in a way I couldn't live with. I couldn't stay married to him after that. Yeah, he told us that's what you'd say, Ethan said, that you'd blame him. Ethan? He's getting remarried, Ethan said abruptly. To Aunt Hannah. The knife slipped from her hand, clattering into the sink. I know, she said softly. You know? Ethan's voice sharpened. How? Have you been talking to them? No, she said. I figured it out. I saw pictures. People talk. He made a frustrated sound. They've been together for 5 years. That's what they said when they announced it. 5 years together. Can't wait to make it official. Maria winced. 5 years. That meant they'd got together about a year after the divorce. Probably earlier. Congratulations to them, she said hollowly. I did the math, Ethan said. It doesn't add up. You left when I was 11. That was 6 years ago. They say they've only been together for 5. But Aunt Hannah was around all the time before that, and he broke off. Maria imagined him pacing, running a hand through his hair, like Daniel used to. Something doesn't make sense, he finished. Maria took a deep breath. This was the moment Camilla had been yelling at her about for years. The moment she'd feared and longed for and rehearsed conversations for in her head. Ethan, she said softly, can you go somewhere private? Somewhere you feel safe? Because if I answer you, I'm going to tell you the truth, and it might hurt. There was a rustling, a door opening, then shutting. The background noise dimmed. Okay, he said. I'm in my room. She sat down at the tiny kitchen table, the onion forgotten on the cutting board. I came home early from a work trip, she said. You were 11. Lily was 9. My flight got changed, and I didn't tell your dad I was arriving early because I wanted to surprise you. I remember that week, Ethan said slowly. You were in Chicago. Yes, she said. I walked into our bedroom and found your father in bed with Hannah. Silence. Not the kind of silence when someone's thinking of what to say next. A cold, shocked void. Hannah, Ethan repeated eventually. Like naked? Yes, Maria said, throat tight. They were having sex. In our bed. In our house. He made a choked sound. No, he said automatically, as if reflexively rejecting the idea. No. She loves us. She wouldn't. I know this is hard to hear, Maria said. Her own hands were trembling now. I didn't tell you at the time, because the court ordered us not to talk badly about each other in front of you, and because you were kids. You were 9 and 11. I didn't want to put adult pain on your shoulders. You told the court? Ethan demanded. You told them what you saw? Yes, Maria said. What did Dad say? He shot back. He admitted it, she said honestly. He said it only happened once. I don't know if that's true, but he didn't deny it. Another long pause. Then why? Ethan said, voice low and tight. Did he tell us you cheated? That you left him for some guy from work? That you abandoned us? Maria closed her eyes. Because that story made him look like the victim, she said, and me like the villain. You never slept with that guy? Ethan pressed. Mark? The one from your office? No, she said. We were friends. We still are a little. We had lunch sometimes. That's all. He showed us pictures, Ethan said, sounding dazed. You and some guy eating lunch, walking together? He said you were having an affair and you lied about him cheating because you felt guilty. Those pictures were taken before I even knew about his affair, Maria said. I was still trying to fix our marriage. I thought we were struggling, but I didn't know why. I thought it was just life. Stress. Ethan was breathing hard now, the sound sharp in the speaker. Why didn't you fight harder? He burst out. Why did you just leave? Why didn't you tell us any of this? I did fight, she said quietly. I went to court. I hired a lawyer. I begged the judge not to take you away from me. I sent messages and cards and gifts after you stopped answering. I tried, Ethan. I tried so hard. But I also didn't want to drag you into the middle of our mess. I thought, if I just kept loving you from a distance, maybe one day you'd come back, and I could tell you then. Well, he said, voice rough, I'm here. You are, she said, tears spilling over. And I'm so, so glad. He didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, I need to think about this, he said. I don't know what to believe right now. Everything feels wrong. I understand, she said. I'm here if you have more questions. Anything you want to know, I'll tell you. No more half-truths. Okay, he said. She heard him inhale, like he might say something else. Then the line clicked, and the call was over. Maria sat there in the kitchen, phone still to her ear, the onion on the cutting board starting to dry out. She laughed once, a watery, disbelieving sound. Then she put her head down on her folded arms and sobbed until her chest ached. 3 days later, Maria's phone rang again. This time, it was Lily. The contact photo, Lily at age 9, hair and pigtails, missing front tooth, nearly broke her. She answered on the first ring, Lily? There was a small hiccuping sound. Is it true? Lily blurted out. Her voice was higher than Ethan's, more like the child Maria remembered, but deeper now, threaded with something raw. Hi, sweetheart, Maria said gently. Is what true? What Ethan said, Lily sobbed. That you left because Dad cheated. That he was with Aunt Hannah. That he lied to us? Is it true? Maria closed her eyes. Yes, she said, every word. I wish it wasn't, but yes. Lily burst into full-on crying, the kind Maria hadn't heard since Lily was little and had scraped both knees at once. He said you were lying, Lily gasped between sobs. He said you were just mad that Ethan was confused. But when I asked Aunt Hannah, she started crying and Dad yelled at me and told me to drop it. And then I saw a picture of you and the guy from work and he said, Wayne, see what she did? That's why she left. But it didn't feel right. Ethan kept saying the math doesn't work and oh, baby, Maria whispered. I'm so sorry you're in the middle of this. You didn't leave because of some guy? Lily demanded. You didn't leave us? No, Maria said fiercely. I left because I couldn't stay married to someone who betrayed our family. I never, ever left you. I never stopped loving you, not for 1 second. Then why didn't you come get us? Lily cried. Why didn't you just, I don't know, kick him out and make us stay with you? Maria let out a shaky breath. It doesn't work like that, sweetheart. The court decides where kids live when parents split up. The judge believed your dad's version of the story. I tried. I swear I tried. Lily's breath hitched. We were so mean to you, she whispered. I said horrible things. I told everyone you left us. I posted stuff about how you were selfish. I told my friends you didn't care about us. I blocked you on everything. Lily, Maria said quickly, stop. Listen to me. You were a kid. You believed what the adults around you told you. That's not your fault. But I hurt you, Lily insisted. I called you names. I told you I hated you. Yes, Maria said, voice thick. You did. And it broke my heart. But I knew it wasn't really you talking. It was what you'd been told. What you thought you had to say to be loyal to your dad. I'm such an idiot, Lily whispered. Hey, Maria said, don't talk about my daughter like that. A wet laugh escaped Lily. You're still corny. I've had years to stockpile mom jokes you haven't had to suffer through, Maria said softly. You have no idea what's coming. Lily sniffled. Can we see you? She asked in a small voice. Like, in person? Maria's heart slammed against her ribs. Yes, she said, almost tripping over the word. Yes, whenever you want. I can meet you somewhere public if that feels safer, or you can come here, or I want to come there, Lily blurted. I want to see where you live. I want to see everything. Okay, Maria said, already mentally scanning her calendar, her bank account, her messy living room. When? Ethan said he wants to come too, Lily said. We could tell Dad we're going to the mall and then just not. Sweetheart, Maria said carefully, I don't want you to have to lie. He lied for 6 years, Lily snapped, sudden anger flaring. He can handle one afternoon. Maria exhaled. Okay, she said. This Saturday, noon? I'll text you the address. Okay, Lily whispered. I'm scared. I know, Maria said. Me too. Promise you won't yell at us? Lily asked. Oh, Lilybug, Maria said, tears spilling again. The only thing I want to do is hug you. That's it. No yelling, I promise. Okay, Lily said. They hung up and Maria stared around her small apartment like she'd never seen it before. She saw it suddenly through their eyes. The secondhand furniture, the cluttered bookshelves, the gallery wall of photos where their childhood faces froze at ages 9 and 11 and never moved forward. She had 48 hours to turn this lonely little space into something that looked like home. On Saturday, Maria woke up before the sun. She cleaned like a woman possessed. She scrubbed the bathroom until the tiles gleamed. She washed the throw pillows. She organized the fridge so that the juice boxes and snacks were front and center, like they might have been if she'd had kids living there all along. She went to the store and bought Ethan's favorite cereal, the chocolate kind he used to inhale, and Lily's favorite ice cream flavor, hoping tastes hadn't changed too much in 6 years. She printed a few new photos from the past years. Herself with her parents, with Camilla's kids, at a work event where she'd smiled. She added them to the wall, not to rewrite the past, but so the kids could see she hadn't been frozen either. At 11:52, she stood at the window, heart beating so hard she felt slightly dizzy. At 11:58, she saw them. 2 figures on the sidewalk. More shadow than memory, Ethan was taller than she'd imagined. Nearly a head taller than Lily now, shoulders broader. His hair, once shaggy, was cropped shorter on the sides. He wore a hoodie and jeans and a guarded expression. Lily had grown into herself, still small, but with a sort of fierce presence. Her hair was dyed at the ends now, a streak of purple curling over her shoulders. She wore boots and a denim jacket covered in enamel pins. They stood outside the building, looking up like they were about to enter a foreign country. Maria forced herself not to run down the stairs, not to fling herself into the hall like a woman in a melodramatic movie. She opened the door, waited, heart in her throat, as footsteps echoed in the stairwell. Then, they were there. For a second, all 3 of them just stared at each other. Hi, Maria managed. Lily didn't say anything. She launched herself forward like she had when she was 9, arms wrapping around Maria's waist with such force that Maria had to take a step back to keep her balance. Mom, Lily sobbed into her chest. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maria folded around her daughter, hands cradling the back of her head. She closed her eyes and breathed in the scent of her shampoo. Different brand, same underlying liliness. Oh, baby, she whispered. You don't have to. Be sorry. You're here. That's all that matters. Ethan stood a few feet back, jaw clenched, eyes shiny but dry. Hey, Maria said, opening one arm toward him. It's okay if you're not ready. We can... He stepped forward suddenly and hugged her. It wasn't the full-body, clinging hug of a child. It was awkward at first, his arms squeezing too tight, his chin digging into her shoulder. But it was real. Solid. I'm sorry, too, he muttered into her hair. I should have questioned things sooner. You were a kid, she said, voice shaking. You believed your parents. That's what kids are supposed to do. They stood there, the 3 of them clinging to each other in the narrow hallway, while somewhere below them a neighbor's TV played a game show and someone's dog barked. Eventually, they pulled apart enough to move inside. Welcome to my palace, Maria said, trying for lightness as she ushered them in. Ethan looked around, expression unreadable, taking in the small living room, the couch, the TV stand, the cluttered coffee table. Lily went straight to the photo wall. You kept these, she murmured, reaching out to touch a framed picture of herself at 5, holding a giant stuffed penguin. You kept all of them? Of course I did, Maria said. I didn't have any new ones, so I had to keep staring at the old ones and imagining what you looked like now. Lily turned to look at her. You look older, she said bluntly. Then softening, in a good way. Like, stronger. I don't know. I feel older, Maria said dryly. Do you see these lines? You and your brother are responsible for at least half of them. Lily laughed weakly. Ethan snorted. They sat on the couch, a little stiff at first. Maria offered snacks. You still eat this cereal? She asked Ethan, holding up the box. He rolled his eyes, but his mouth twitched. Yeah, he admitted. Sometimes. Score one for mom memory, she said. Lily examined the ice cream flavors. You remembered, she whispered. I remember everything about you, Maria said quietly. Nothing about you is forgettable. They talked. At first, it was stilted school, hobbies, surface stuff. Ethan was on the soccer team. He liked physics now, hated English. He was thinking about colleges, but didn't know what he wanted to do. Lily loved art and theater. She was in the school play and ran a small Instagram account where she posted her drawings. She wanted to be an animator, maybe, or a tattoo artist. Dad hates that, she added quickly, watching Maria's face. I think it sounds cool, Maria said. Oh, you've always been creative. See? Lily said unexpectedly, turning to Ethan. She always let us paint on stuff. Remember the cardboard castle? Yeah, Ethan said softly. Dad said that was irresponsible, that the paint would stain the floor. It did, Maria admitted. I still think it was worth it. Gradually, the conversation shifted. Why didn't you ever get married again? Lily asked suddenly, spoon halfway to her mouth. Maria blinked. Lots of reasons. Timing, fear. Also, there's an intense screening process after all that. You didn't have to stay single because of us, Ethan muttered. I didn't stay single because of you, Maria said. I stayed single because I was rebuilding myself, and because I didn't want to bring someone into my life who didn't understand or respect that my kids would always be my priority, even if they weren't talking to me. Ethan stared at his bowl. We didn't deserve that, he said. We were horrible to you. Hey, Maria said, let's be clear about something. I am angry about what happened. I am furious that I missed 6 years of your lives, that I wasn't there for school plays and science fairs and broken arms and first crushes and all of it. I'm furious at the adults who set that up. But I am not angry at you. How can you not be? Lily whispered. Because I'm your mother, Maria said simply. That's what we do. We hold the anger so it doesn't crush you. Lily's eyes filled again. Dad said you never called, she said. He said you didn't try, that you were too busy with your new life. Maria reached into the drawer of the coffee table and pulled out a shoebox. She set it on the table and opened it. Inside were stacks of cards, letters, printed screenshots of texts she'd sent, highlighted and dated, the receipt slip from a package she'd sent years ago, a crumpled drawing Ethan had made her in 2nd grade that she'd never been able to throw away. I called every birthday, Maria said. Every Christmas, every first day of school. I texted, I emailed, I sent cards. I didn't always know if you got them. Sometimes they came back. Sometimes they disappeared, but I never stopped trying. Ethan leaned forward, staring at the evidence. Lily picked up one. Card, the kind with glitter on it, and traced her own name written in Maria's handwriting. I don't remember getting this, she whispered. I know, Maria said. The anger came in waves throughout the afternoon, not directed at her, but at the situation. Why would he do that? Lily demanded at one point, fists clenched. Why would he lie about you like that? For years. Because he didn't want to be the bad guy, Maria said. Because admitting what he did would mean facing consequences, he chose the easier story. It wasn't easier for us, Ethan muttered. I know, Maria said. Did you ever hate us? Lily asked suddenly. Maria swallowed. Never, she said. Not for 1 second. I hated you sometimes, Ethan confessed, voice quiet. I told people you were selfish, that you abandoned us. I thought I was protecting Dad. I feel so stupid. Maybe you were protecting yourself, Maria said gently. Believing I left you might have felt easier than believing your dad lied. That's a big thing to put on a kid's shoulders. Lily curled into her side. I don't know what to do, she said. About him, about Hannah, about anything. You don't have to decide everything today, Maria said. You're allowed to take your time, to be confused and angry and sad. They stayed until it got dark. I don't want to go back, Lily said as they stood by the door. I want to stay. Ethan nodded. Me too, he said, jaw set. I told him I didn't want to go to the wedding, he flipped out. What did he say? Maria asked. That you'd turned us against him, Ethan said. That you were manipulating us? That you'd been waiting for a chance to poison us. Maria's stomach twisted. Of course he did. I told him he had 6 years to tell us the truth, and he didn't, Lily said fiercely. That's on him, not you. Maria felt something fierce and hot rise in her chest. Pride, maybe. Awe. You're brave, she said, both of you. Could we live with you? Lily asked, eyes hopeful and desperate all at once. Like, for real? I would say yes in a heartbeat, Maria said. But remember what I said about court. We'd have to go back. We'd have to tell a judge what's been happening. I'll tell them everything, Ethan said. I don't care. Me too, Lily said. I'll tell them he lied, that he made us hate you on purpose. Maria nodded slowly. Okay, she said. Let me talk to a better lawyer this time. We'll see what our options are. I won't promise you something I can't deliver. But we'll try. Together. This time. Together. They left with promises to call the next day. When the door closed behind them, the apartment felt both emptier and fuller than it had that morning. Maria sat on the couch, shoebox of letters beside her, and let herself imagine, for the first time in years, a future that included them not as ghosts, but as real people at her kitchen table. It didn't take long for the bomb to go off. 2 days later, Lily posted something on Instagram. Maria didn't follow her. Lily had blocked her on every platform years ago. But Camilla texted her a screenshot. The post was a black background with white text. Finding out a parent has lied to you for 6 years to make themselves look like the victim is a special kind of hell. No names, no tags, just that. But the comments blew up. At Sydney Pedroza, OMG, are you okay? At Mason_17, wait, what? At Taylor Sky. I knew something was off about that whole single dad hero narrative. At Auntie Rosa, call me, mija. Within hours, Maria's phone was buzzing. Her mother, we saw the post. Are the kids with you? Are you okay? Camilla, well, the grenade has been thrown. Then, inevitably, Daniel. At first, text messages. Daniel, what did you say to them? Daniel, they're hysterical. Daniel, you had no right to dump your version of events on them like that. Daniel, I'm calling my lawyer. Maria stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Maria, I told them the truth. He replied almost immediately. Daniel, you're twisting things because you're still bitter. You've always been vindictive. Daniel, you just couldn't stand that they were happy without you. Her hand shook with anger. Maria, I could have told them everything 6 years ago. I didn't. I obeyed the court order. You didn't. That's on you, Daniel. You're poisoning them against me. Hannah is devastated. Maria. Hannah had 6 years to tell them the truth, too. Her phone rang, Daniel's name. She let it go to voicemail. Then, another message popped up, from a number she recognized but hadn't seen in years. Hannah. Hannah, wow. You really couldn't let it go, could you? Hannah, we've built a life with them, a family, and you just had to blow it up. Hannah, you're ruining everything. Maria stared at the screen, feeling something inside her go cold. Maria, I didn't ruin anything. You and Daniel did that when you slept together in my bed. Hannah, it wasn't like that, and you know it. Maria, I know exactly what it was like. I was there, remember? Hannah, we were trying to protect them from the ugly details. Maria, no, you were protecting yourselves. Don't you dare pretend otherwise. Another message came through, longer, but Maria didn't read it. She blocked the number. Then she blocked Daniel's too. Let the lawyers handle it. She called a new attorney, recommended by a coworker who'd gone through a brutal divorce the year before Monica Reyes was direct, no nonsense, and thoroughly unimpressed by Maria's apologies. You don't have to justify being upset, Monica said in their first meeting. What they did to you and to your relationship with your kids is unconscionable. Can we fix it? Maria asked. Legally, I mean. The kids want to live with me now. Monica steepled her fingers. We can file to modify custody again, she said. This time they're older. Judges take the wishes of 16 and 17-year-olds very seriously. The fact that their preference has changed because of newly discovered information could work in our favor. And the parental alienation? Maria asked. Does that matter? Monica smiled thinly. Courts don't like to admit they missed something the first time, she said. But yes, if we can show a pattern of manipulation, it will help the Instagram post, the kids' statements, your documentation of your attempts to contact them. Those are all evidence. He's already accusing me of turning them against him, Maria said. Of course he is, Monica said. That's what people like that do. They cause harm and then cry victim when the truth comes out. Maria left the office with a folder full of forms, a retainer agreement, and a strange sensation in her chest. Hope, sharp, and terrifying. Maria's family, predictably, had opinions. Her mother called nearly every day now, thirsty for details. Her father listened silently in the background, occasionally chiming in with, We'll support you however we can, Mija. Camilla was more forceful. You need to scorch earth, she said one night over FaceTime. Take them to court. Make him pay child support, backdated. Expose him to everyone who ever patted him on the back and said, What a devoted single dad. Already filing to modify custody, Maria said. As for money, I don't care. I just want time with my kids. It's not about the money, Camilla said. It's about consequences. People who do this get away with it because everyone keeps saying, Be the bigger person. Screw that. At the same time, Maria said slowly, if the kids see me launching nukes at their dad, isn't that just more chaos for them? They're already reeling. So what? Camilla demanded. You're just supposed to roll over again? Maria rubbed her temples. I don't know. I keep thinking about what the therapist would say. What would she say? Camilla asked. She'd ask what my goal is, Maria said. And my goal is to rebuild my relationship with Ethan and Lily, not to destroy Daniel's life, even if a part of me really wants to. Silence. Then Camilla sighed. You're a better person than me, she muttered. Maria laughed weakly. I don't know about that. Later, Dr. Shaw put it more gently. Anger is understandable, she said. Righteous, even. The question is what you do with it. I want him to feel what I felt, Maria admitted. I want him to wake up one day and realize he lost years with them because of his own choices. I want him to sit in an empty house on Christmas and see photos of them with someone else. And if that happens, Dr. Shaw asked, will it give you back your 6 years? No, Maria said softly. And if you pursue revenge, Dr. Shaw continued, how might that affect Ethan and Lily's perception of you now? Maria closed her eyes. They might see me as the villain all over again, she whispered. They sat in silence for a moment. Is it wrong, Maria asked quietly, that I still want him to hurt? No, Dr. Shaw said. It's human. You're allowed to feel that. You do not have to act on every feeling you have. Maria thought of Ethan's shoulders, tense as he talked about the wedding he didn't want to attend. Of Lily's trembling voice saying, I don't know what to do about him. This is their father, Maria said. I don't want to be the one to tear that apart. He already tore us apart. I don't want to take what's left. So perhaps, Dr. Shaw said gently, your path is to stand in the truth, to tell them what you experienced, answer their questions honestly, and let them decide how to navigate their relationship with him, while you focus on building something solid with them. But then he just gets away with it, Maria said. Does he? Dr. Shaw asked. He may keep his image with some people, but his children now know the truth. He must live with that. And you have the chance to rebuild with them. That is a win, even if it doesn't look like the movie version of justice. Maria sat with that for a long time. One evening, a week after the first visit, Ethan and Lily sprawled on Maria's couch, half watching a show they used to love as kids. Remember how we made up alternate endings for this episode? Ethan said lazily. Yeah, Lily said. Yours were always dark, like the dog dies and everyone cries. Art imitates life, he said wryly. Hey, Maria said, we're not killing any fictional dogs in this house. That's the line. They laughed. The sound warmed something deep in her chest. During a commercial, Ethan muted the TV. Can I ask you something? He said. Maria turned toward him. Always. Do you ever wish you'd told us everything earlier? He asked. Like, when we first started pulling away. Do you wish you'd just sat us down and said, your dad cheated and lied, and here's the proof? Maria thought of the shoebox, of the empty weekends, of Camilla's voice saying, you should have told them. Yes, she said honestly. And no. Ethan frowned. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one, she said. Yes, I wish I hadn't lost 6 years with you. I wish I'd found some way to cut through the lies back then. But I also know that if I'd sat 11-year-old you and 9-year-old Lily down and dumped the full story on you, it might have hurt you in a way you weren't ready for. You might have felt like you had to choose sides. You might have hated me for trashing your dad. We hated you anyway, Lily said softly. I know, Maria said, her voice catching. That's the part that keeps me up at night. So, were you wrong? Ethan pressed. To wait? To tell us now? Are you sorry you told us? Maria looked at him, really looked at him, at the lines of tension around his eyes that didn't belong on a 17-year-old's face. At Lily's hand twisted in the hem of her shirt. No, she said. I'm not sorry I told you. You deserve the truth. You deserve to understand why your life exploded when you were kids. You deserve the chance to make your own choices based on reality, not someone else's narrative. But, Lily said, hearing something in her tone. But I am sorry for the pain it's causing you now, Maria said, for the way it's shaking up your world. If I could have spared you that, I would have. But the lie was already hurting you. You just didn't know why. Ethan stared at the muted TV for a long moment. Dad says you're trying to get revenge, he said finally. That you're just mad he moved on. Is that what you think? Maria asked quietly. He hesitated. I don't know what to think, he admitted. Part of me is still loyal, I guess. He raised us. He was there when you weren't. And I know now that's partly because he made it that way, but it's not simple. He tucked us in. He made dinner. He drove us to practice. I'm not asking you to erase that, Maria said. I'm not asking you to hate him. I'm not asking you to choose me over him. I'm just asking you to let me be part of your life again. To let me show you who I am now. Not the villain you were told about. Lily looked at her, eyes glistening. You're kind, she said slowly, and stubborn. And you talk too much when you're nervous, and you make terrible puns. Wow, Maria said, tell me how you really feel. I mean, you're you, Lily said. The you I remember. But also more. Like you went through hell and came out, I don't know, stronger, sadder, but you're still you. Thanks, Maria said softly. So, were you wrong? Ethan asked again. To tell us. Were you wrong? Maria thought about the original story she'd once written in her head, the one where she kept the truth forever, let them think she was the villain, just so they'd never have to face the reality of what their father had done. In that story, she died someday with them, still thinking she'd abandoned them. At her funeral, maybe, they'd say, she made her choices, and shrug. She'd let that story go the second Ethan had said, something doesn't make sense. I don't think the truth is ever wrong, she said finally. Messy? Yes. Painful? Absolutely. But wrong? No. The wrong part was when I couldn't protect you from the lies. The wrong part was that I didn't have enough power, or the right lawyer, or the right words to stop it 6 years ago. So, if you could go back, Ethan said, would you change what you said to us last week? She shook her head. No, she said. I might change when I said it. I might change how I handled a lot of things. But telling you the truth, I would do that again. Every time. Lily leaned her head on Maria's shoulder. Ethan, after a moment, mirrored her on the other side. They sat like that, a tangled knot of limbs on the couch, the muted glow of the TV washing over them. I don't know what's going to happen with court, Maria said quietly. I don't know what your dad is going to do. I don't know how people are going to talk about us. They might say I'm vindictive. They might say, I can't let go. They might call me every name in the book. We've heard most of them already, Ethan said dryly. But I do know this, Maria continued. I am done disappearing to make other people comfortable. I am done letting lies stand because I'm afraid of being called bitter. I love you, I want to be in your lives, and I am willing to walk through whatever mess comes next to make that happen. That's kind of badass, Lily murmured. You're biased, Maria said. Not anymore, Lily said. That's the point. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Okay, he said finally. Then, I guess, we'll walk through it with you. Maria let out a breath she felt like she'd been holding for 6 years. Deal, she said. The story of what happened between Maria and Daniel and Hannah would never be clean. There would be family members who chose sides, people who unfollowed, holiday invitations that dried up. There would be court dates and affidavits and probably more nights where Ethan and Lily lay awake, grieving the version of their childhood they'd grown up believing. But there would also be new things. Ethan sitting at Maria's kitchen table, complaining about physics homework, while she half-remembered formulas with him, Lily painting a mural in Maria's hallway, bright colors swirling over beige walls, inside jokes reknit, wounds tended, birthdays celebrated together again. The past, with all its jagged edges, would still be there. Nothing could change that night in the bedroom, or the years of silence that followed. But Maria had the truth now, and she had her children back in her arms. It wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. And in the quiet moments, when she watched Ethan teaching Lily how to make pasta without burning it, or when Lily shoved her phone in Maria's face to show her a new drawing, Maria would think, I didn't get everything back, but I got this. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough.